Hey everyone. So I promised a BTS of one of my boudoir shoots. This is great. So the model, my friend Red August, who basically lives here, she started asking questions about the games, which is because she's cool, and that's the kind of models and people I like to hang out with. So what I have here is an idea where I thought, you know what, a dungeon master could be a dominatrix, right? So let's make it happen. So for the BTS, there's a giant board that you see on the left side of the screen, and you can see her, and I guess she's the important thing, right? But on the left side, what you're seeing is a reflector. I mean, basically that's all that is. That it's a big giant board, and it's reflecting the flash off of the board onto her. And so that way I'm getting a brighter light on the left and then a soft light on the right. And it's fairly even, and it's always just a little bit lighter. Now, you see her struggling with that hood. Well, if you've looked at the photos, you see that very few of them have that hood. And actually, some of them have the hood, but you can't see the hood. So the last flash I have here is the red flash. And if you notice, most of my photos over the last couple months, I've started adding a splash of color, and I try to think, what color do I think represents the mood of the shoot we're doing. So in this case, dominatrix, red, sexy. So that's what I went with. Here we go. That's one of the photos. Really like this shoot. She really liked the shoot. Definitely look at the high res versions. I really like how they came out. So I had to make that Dungeon Master screen, and I used my giant dice, which I thought worked great. If I used normal sized dice, you wouldn't be able to see them. But you can kind of see that there's this brighter light on the left and this more faded light on the right. You can see her laughing about the hood that just won't stay up, and even when she tries to wear it, it slips enough you can't even see it in the photos. There was basically right there, you can't barely tell she's got a hood on, but there you go. So I made the Dungeon Master screen for 3 photos, but it is what it is. And actually I really liked it, and I was like, you know what, I could use that as a Dungeon Master screen if I was so inclined. So this is the set of Grey Wizard Gaming, the board game YouTube channel. I love this setup. I just really enjoy working there, and I thought, what if I do a photo shoot? So there, I love her eyes. That you can see it's darker on the top, and it's kind of honey golden color on the bottom. And I really like this lighting setup. The important thing here is that all of the lights are angled down, and the intent there is to not create reflections in her glasses and to shine that light on the bottom of her eyes. So I've got these, soft lights all over. I've got this red coming from kind of behind her. And if I could, I would put it even more behind her. But, the proximity of the room, my decision, I didn't want to just, drag everything over into the studio so that I could, do this shoot with more space. But, yeah, she's really open to all the, kind of anything, and that works really well for a nice fun shoot. You can see she's having a fun time, and I think that's why she basically will always do shoots like, hey, let's do a shoot tomorrow and the next day and every day. Like she's up for it. So so while I had this idea of it being this Dungeon Master shoot, honestly, we hit the limit of what we're gonna do real quick. So you can see progressively there's less and less emphasis on the D&D part, but that's okay because I got these great photos with D&D stuff in 3.5. That's the version of D&D I played the most of. It's not my first, it's not my favorite, it's just what I played the most of, and it definitely consumed the most of my money. Now, I don't know, maybe 4th edition did. Now see, I don't know if you caught it, but Kat is hiding there, holding the chair from rolling backwards because there's no locks on that chair, which is pretty funny. There's a lot of movie magic in these things, folks. It's that's where, you know, pulling together a crew of people and or dating them that are willing to help with your crazy artistic ideas is really helpful. And luckily, like so many, honestly, so many of the people who even follow the Patreon, they are so supportive and helpful and amazing. And that's what makes photos like this. So it's, is the red necessary? I don't know, but I think it would have been boring without some hints of color. And yeah, I could just paint those in Photoshop, but these photos are her. I think that's important, that those hints of light are her with the light that was in the room. And yeah, in the end, I'm going to go through and I'm going to turn these into a couple like artistic compositions because there's value. I love creating artistic compositions, but I also love taking photos like this where somebody can know that that's them right here. You can, like, if you take the high res version, you can zoom in and you can see everything. This is what she looks like, and she's a beautiful woman who should be proud of these photos, in my opinion. And a lot of this is just playing with light. Now, does she necessarily look like this in person? No. But could she look like this in person with me sculpting the light, like not using strobes? Absolutely. Would it be maybe a little uncomfortable? Yeah, maybe. But that's where the strobes come in, right? Because it's only for a... well, you know, that's a good point. I'll start talking about the setup. So I shoot at generally between an 800th of a second to a 1200th of a second. And so that means that the camera can't capture any of the light in the room. It's just simply not bright enough for it at that fast of a shutter speed. And so all the light that we're seeing ends up being the light that is coming from those strobes bouncing around the room the way that I angled them. Now, her leaning over, yeah, it's a little bit of fan service, but I had this idea. Oops, somebody rolled their dice off the table again. And it's kind of like drop the soap or something in prison, right? Like she's there and it's like, oh, I accidentally rolled the dice too hard. And everybody knows, anybody who's played Dungeons and Dragons knows somebody who is just over the top, constantly rolling their dice off the table. Well, it's possible that if you're playing with Red August here, that people would be rolling their dice off more. So I was just goofing around. I don't know. I think it was fun though. So now, you know, this is me, and you see Kat doing things like holding the chair in place so it doesn't roll off. Well, what did Kayla do? Well, Kayla put together this outfit. And again, it takes a team to do these things. I could know all the different aspects of dressing and coming up with costumes and stuff, but I give ideas to Kayla and she puts this stuff together, including this amazing whip. Honestly, that whip is so much better than my Indiana Jones like whip that I wear in my cosplay. And I don't know, I would be scared. Well, I mean, in general, I'm not into dominatrix stuff. So, yeah, I don't want anybody coming at me with this kind of whip. Now, Red August is like, this is like what she does for work. And she says this kind of whip will remove your skin. So, yeah, it's not really a happy, fun whip. And unless that's your thing. So, again, a little bit of fan service. I really like all the photos, and I even like the fan service. But these are kind of classic boudoir shoots. They don't really show anything, but they're sexy and they show off the curves of the body, right? So here I just kind of wanted to emphasize how much work it takes to get all of the pieces of the clothing in the like perfect positions to, you know, to make the photos happen. So, I mean, the cat is there adjusting, and I don't know if you noticed that there. So Red August just moved her fingers under her butt. That is a very classic boudoir kind of thing. So boom, right there. It emphasizes the curve and it creates that separation. So my preferred photo didn't actually use that much of it, but you know, you kind of get that concept of it. She also had this, so I think originally we were starting with this idea of, oh wait, here we go. So she started to fall off that table, and here you go, guys. So we kind of laughed about it, that I could have helped her, or I could take that photo. Guess which I chose? I chose to take that photo. Yeah, that I technically, I'm not like, you know, I'm not sharing this on social media or anything like that. You hear her laughing.
No, I just can't leave my board.
But it was worth it.
It was?
Yeah, that was us laughing. It was it was fun. It was fun. And I what I do is I don't share the bloopers too often outside of like Patreon. I leave the bloopers for like stories that are only gonna be 24 hours, or giving them to the models or cosplayers or whatever, so that they can choose to share them. And honestly, a lot of times those are some of the most successful photos on like social media. So people should be proud of those bloopers because people love them. But I don't want to embarrass people. I don't want them to feel bad, and I give them full control over what bloopers that I want to share, because I want people to feel like, you know, we're laughing with them and not laughing at them, like laughing at the scenario, right? So yeah. So again, at this point, the table's gone. There's no D&D stuff left. There's just the Dom Master. And so it was just obvious it was going to happen. You know, she's dressed up. We want to take these photos. Boom. That's great. Now, notice I'm looking up at her. That really gives her this position of us being lesser. The viewer being lesser to her. And I'm constantly thinking about that angle. In this particular photo, is the viewer dominant to her, equal to her, or submissive to her? And my preference is to empower the model, especially boudoir, where I want to make the person feel more confident because they're not a professional model, and I want them to feel like this, like, I am at, you know, one of my peaks. This is great. I feel powerful. And when they look at the photos and they see that generally most of my photos are at an angle that is not, like, I'm not in a position of power over them, it ends up making them feel amazing. Now, here at this point, it was on the floor and the camera couldn't see it. So I thought I would end this video with just these great photos that unfortunately we can't see the, like, how they were taken per se. But what I would like to know is if you want me to be included, or if you want to see how she's, you know, how the model is taking the photos. What I often worry about is that on one hand, you might want to see my positioning, like how I'm taking the photos. But on the other hand, it can get really boring and you don't get to see as much of the model. So let me know. And with that, I'm going to end it. I really appreciate everyone backing us. And I did a poll, and this was one of the options. People voted for it. So here you go. I definitely want to do more of these. I'm also going to be doing some other things that people reached out and asked me to do more of. So if you want to see more of something, I am happy to do it. Because if you want it, then probably there's, you know, 10, 20, 50, 100 other people who want it. So be vocal, be heard, and I will, you know, reach out and interact with you guys later. Bye everyone. Thank you.